will now be placed into conference.
Good morning. This is the Haines Court. Who has joined us on the line? Hello? Is there anyone on the conference line? Hey. Leah. Good morning. This is the Haines Court. Who just joined us on the line?
Oh, good morning. Rex Butler for Devon Light.
Oh, okay. Good morning, Mr. Butler.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. This is Juneau Courtroom.
Good morning, courtroom.
And you have Rex Butler?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. So DA Page is here. PD McCauley, Deborah McCauley is here. OPA Miss Mari Carpenetti is here as well. So
Okay, great.
we have the in-custody defendants and no one else. Do you have any other defendants in your courtroom?
No, that's Ms. Massey and Mr. Albecker.
Okay. We have a probation officer and we have PD Griffin as well. And who's just joined us on the line?
Law Office of Leanne Bauer. Leanne's on her way.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. Okay, I'm putting everybody into the courtroom.
Oh, my dog died.
Good morning. Who's just joined us on the line?
Good morning, it's David Mallet.
All right. Thank you, David.
No, we also have like a million TV trials for what the phone line is open for.
All right. Superior Court is now in session with the Honorable Devon P. presiding.
Morning, folks. You can have a seat. We got a bunch of stuff on the calendar this morning, Haines pretrials, probation case, other things. I guess my plan was to run through the Haines pretrials. I apologize to people who have to wait while I do that. And starting with the felony case. I know we have a bunch of folks on the phone. We have Haines, phone line open to Haines. Let me just, I will say for the benefit of the folks who are here for pretrials, we have a bit of a traffic jam for trials next week. And there are some Juneau cases on the calendar. There are a lot of Haines cases, and we'll just have to try to figure it out. My plan is, for whatever cases we have left on the calendar for trial next week, to set another calendar call on Thursday to get the Juneau people in here as well and try to figure out what the order of trials will be at that point. So, first case I would call is Mr. Maas, State of Alaska versus Michael Maas. Do we have Mr. Maas on the telephone? I think we do. Who's here representing Mr. Maas?
Your Honor, I am. Sitting in for Mr. Singh. He has asked that I let the court know that I think because Mr. Maas lives in Haines.
Ketchikan, I think.
Ketchikan? I'm not certain where he lives, but I know that he's been in regular contact with Mr. Singh.
Ms. Page, Mr. Maas isn't with us this morning. I don't think there's been an issue with him missing court dates in the past. I will say his is the one file that I think that I don't have in my stack this morning, and they didn't bring me his file. Do you object to me simply setting him over Thursday morning for a follow-up calendar call?
No, I suppose not.
I think we're going to need to work out the order of trials. Is the state ready for trial?
I don't have any information to suggest that our witnesses are not available, but I also don't know if that information has been updated since the last time we had this hearing, when we were discussing a February 19th trial date. So I expect so, but again, I think I don't know my information.
All right. Let's come back. I was going to suggest Thursday morning at 8:30. I know that Thursday's grand jury day, but I think we got to get these people in, and that's really the only day we can do it. I'm starting another trial today.
That's 28th, Your Honor.
I'm waiting for my calendar to come up. Yes. Continued pretrial. And we're going to need to have Mr. Maas on the phone at that time. Next case I have is Devon Light. I believe we have Mr. Butler and Mr. Light with us on the telephone. Mr. Butler, can you hear me all right?
Judge, I can, Your Honor.
All right. Same situation. We got a lot of trials on the calendar for next week. Mr. Butler, should this case remain on in the queue for next week?
Judge, I have a question, please, to the state through the court. Did they discover the other case materials to us consistent with the court's order on our motion to compel?
My recollection is that those materials had been discovered prior to your filing the motion. I had a conversation with my victim witness paralegal after you filed the motion, and that was what he had recalled, but I can guarantee that that's true after I get out of these hearings.
Okay, I will have to review the file for that. I've actually been in back-to-back trials and preparing for trials, so I guess if I have that material. The only other question I had I know the court's pretty busy this morning. Judge, I will need some additional time to prepare for the trial, simply because I've conducted 2 trials and I was preparing for a sexual assault trial in the first degree in Barrow up until this past Monday. So my request would be to the court if I could go to the next calendar call, please.
That would be April 1st. The trial week would be April 1st with a pretrial the preceding week on the 26th of March. What would the state's response be in terms of continuing this until then?
I can't speak to witness availability on that date, so I would ask for leave to file something if it looks like that's going to be a problem, but I think it's fine to move it for now.
And Mr. Light with you there, Mr. Butler?
Judge, I'm actually calling from home this morning. I know Mr. Light is usually at my office for these hearings, And to be honest with you, I didn't even call my office this morning.
We would need to have a Rule 45 waiver from Mr. Light.
If he's not at my office, good morning, Ms. V. Is Mr. Light there? Okay, he's not at the office, Judge. He usually makes the hearings. I'll get the court something in writing.
Here's what I would propose to do. I mean, I'm amenable to continuing, but I think there needs to be something in writing confirming that Mr. Light waives Rule 45. I guess what I would propose to do at this point is to say that I would set this over now until Thursday morning, the 28th at 8:30. Leave the trial on next week. However, if a written waiver of Rule 45 is filed prior to that time, then I would vacate that hearing and continue the trial till April 1st at 8:30 with a pretrial March 26th at 8:30, but that's dependent upon something being filed in writing prior to Thursday morning. Does that work, Mr. Butler?
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you very much, Your Honor. And, Judge, would it be the same code, 766-2801?
Yes. Ms. Haines, is that acceptable?
That's fine.
All right, so that's what we'll do. So the next date, assuming that that's filed, is the pretrial is March 26th, Tuesday at 8:30 in the morning.
Okay, but in the meantime, all right. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Butler.
Thank you to the state as well.
All right. Next case I have is Judson Morgan. Is Mr. Morgan here? Here he is. This is State of Alaska versus Judson Morgan. Mr. Carpenetti is here representing Mr. Morgan. Ms. Page is here for the state. This case is on the trial calendar for next week as well. Should it remain on for trial, Ms. Carpenetti?
No, Judge, we're asking to set this out. I'm working with Mr. Headland from the Public Defender's Office on an issue involving Mr. Morgan's parole, and we'd like to get that sorted out before we deal with a potential trial. I have been speaking with Ms. Page, and I think we're pretty close to a Rule 11 agreement, but I'm not really clear on all the ramifications of the parole issue. So I had spoke with Mr. Headland, and he said, can we push this out? So I think I spoke with my client, and he advised that he had filed the paperwork dealing with parole just recently. So I think that issue is being taken care of. So I would ask to put this on the next calendar. My only caveat is that I may not be here, and it would be the person who is going to be covering while I'm out will start on April 1st. So I think it's probably unlikely to go on April 1st, on April 15th. But we could set it for the April calendar.
So that would entail a pretrial on March 26th. Would there be somebody available if you're not at that time to stand in for a pretrial?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'll find coverage if I can't be here. I anticipate still being here into the first week of April. That's my hope.
Ms. Page, is there objection to that?
Yes. We had spoken at the bench bar about not moving trials on the basis of negotiations. I understand that Mr. Morgan has parole issues. Those don't matter to me from the state's perspective in terms of whether this case should go to trial. If we're close to a resolution, then we should resolve the case. If not, we should try it. But we have a backlog of trials that we keep kicking down the road that just create the train wreck that we see last December and now again in this March.
And I don't disagree with the sentiment. The challenge I have with this calendar is I got 3 Juneau cases still on for trial next week. Got some Haines cases still on for trial next week. I'm scheduled to go out on leave on March 13th. I can't try all those cases. And so I might be obliged to be a little bit more accommodating in granting continuances this time than I announced I was going to be at the bench bar, given that schedule. I heard Ms. Carpenetti give a reason other than simply needing to negotiate, which was something to do with parole, and I frankly didn't inquire further about the details of that. I mean, if there's prejudice to the state from it being continued, I won't continue it. But I do have to set some priorities for next week's trial calendar because I can't try them all. And there are cases that involve child witnesses. There are cases that are much older than Mr. Morgan's, and there are cases involving people in custody who are wanting to go to trial next week and would sit in custody otherwise. I know that Mr. Morgan's in custody, but he's the one asking for the continuance. So it seems like he falls a bit down that order of priorities as I'm hearing it. I mean, do you have anything else you want to say about that?
I've lodged my objection.
I'll continue the matter until the April calendar. Pretrial March 26th, trial April 1st at 8:30. Both of those at 8:30. Mr. Morgan, is that okay with you?
Yeah, fine.
Be the order.
I'm sorry, is the date for the trial April 1st?
Yes.
Okay.
Next case I have is Scott Hotch. Mr. Hotch is here.
Maybe Mr.
Yes.
Yeah, this is another case of Mr. Singh's, and he has asked to be ready for trial. Also wanted to be sure that it will be held in Haines. He said that there was a motion filed back, or he requested on the record back in October, and just wanted to make sure that that was still the case.
I think it is. So there are multiple cases for Mr. Hotch. He has 2 separate assault charges and a VCOR, as I understand it. And I think we would start with the older of the assault charges, which I believe is 1827. There's also, I said 2 assaults and a VCOR. There's 2 assaults and a driving charge. There are some VCORs that are additional counts on those cases. But 1827 would be first tried, the first assault charge.
27?
Yes. So this is one of those cases that I think needs to be on for Thursday morning for order of trials. There's travel to Haines involved in some of these cases and not in others, so there's coordination of multiple cases. And so it seems like that's what we ought to do. Ms. Page, state ready for trial?
Yes.
So we'll come back Thursday at 8:30 to sort out the order.
Yes, I should note one thing. The state is going to file a late filed notice of 404B evidence with respect to the newer assault charge. Obviously, it's late because it arose after the point at which our 404 notices would have typically been required, but I think that it's still admissible under prior rulings in similar cases, instances of domestic violence that arose after the point at which
so
the offense occurred.
So in 1827, you're arguing that the conduct in the new case should come
and vice versa.
Understood.
So I will file that in writing, but I wanted to make it clear on the record.
All right. So we'll come back Thursday morning, 8:30, that's the 28th, and take up these cases again at that point. But at this time, it remains on for trial on Monday. All right. I think those are all of the Haines felony cases. Let me run through the Haines misdemeanor cases. First, we have Ms. Massey. Mr. Mallett, I believe, is on the telephone representing Ms. Miranda Massey. Ms. Page is here for the state. Do we have Ms. Massey with us this morning from Haines or elsewhere?
Yes, she's in the courtroom. She just came to the table now.
Thank you. Mr. Mallett, should this case remain on for trial next week?
Good morning, Judge. There's a motion pending. The state filed a non-opposed motion to be able to take time to oppose. I have no objection to however long Ms. Page needs. I know that the state is extremely busy.
Right. I had not seen the motion for extension, but that's fine. Ms. Page, when do you anticipate getting a response in?
Well, I had asked for Friday. Now, I was out yesterday because of a family issue, and now I have a bunch of trials, so a little bit extra time.
Whatever you need. Should we push this off till next month's trial calendar or farther?
Judge, I think farther. There's going to be an evidentiary hearing required on this case, almost undoubtedly. And again, whatever courtesy the state needs, they always have.
So I guess what I would suggest would be that we set this for the May calendar. All right, so Rule 45 is told by virtue of the filing of the motion. I give the state, let's just say till the end of next week to file a response to the motion, if that's okay, Ms. Page, or do you need more than that?
That should be fine, Your Honor. Thank you. I'll try to get it done today.
All right, that's March 8th. And then we'll take the matter up, put it on for status March 26th at 8:30, along with the pretrials in other cases, for the purpose of setting an evidentiary hearing. And then the trial in this case would be set for May 6th at 8:30, with the pretrial April 30th at 8:30. I'm setting.
That would be fine, Judge.
those 3 dates today.
Judge, one other issue, and I think the state has no objection. Ms. Massey's father is gravely ill, and she may have to travel on short notice. If we could lift any geographic restriction there might be, please.
Let me see if there is one. Any objection to that, Ms. Page?
No, Your Honor.
Says not to leave the state of Alaska. Is that out-of-state travel?
It would be, yes, Judge.
I'll just delete the condition. Ms. Massey, it's a misdemeanor charge. You can travel. Just make sure you're, if you're not around, that you call in at the time of the next court hearing, March 26, 8:30. Okay?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Mallett, I think that's our only case, unless I
It is, Judge.
You're good to go.
Thank you very much, as always.
This morning.
No, Judge, I have a consent in the file. Oh, is he that good? He's there. I also have a consent. Judge, our request is this. We'd like to put this on for a change of plea on 5/14 or 5/15, whatever works for the court and for the state. We're still going to be trying to get Mr. Albecker into a treatment program. We're just having a difficult time with some of the financial aspects to it. If that does happen, of course, we'll move to get him court-ordered in and then maybe put out the change of plea.
You said May 14th?
Yes.
Is there objection to setting it out that far?
No, I know that Mr. Albecker's trying to get into treatment, and that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, and normally I would set a change of plea in front of Magistrate Judge Asper or Germain. Any objection to one of them hearing that?
None whatsoever.
All right. So, Ms. Hedrick, is there a date you can give them now, or do you want to just set something on one of those dates after you check with them? And
we could do it May 15th, Wednesday, May 15th at 11 a.m.
Perfect.
All right. So the trial next week will be vacated. It'll be calendared for that date in front of the magistrate judge, and should do it. All right. Anything else on Mr. Albecker's case?
No, Judge, that's all I have. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. You too. You're free to go.
Bye-bye.
We have Mr. Jimmie on the calendar. I don't know if we have Charles Jimmie Jr. with us. Ms. Griffin is here representing him.
Yeah, Your Honor, there, I spoke with yesterday at his assisted living facility that said that he would assist in getting him on the phone this morning. I don't know if we've heard. He is in Wrangell still.
Is Charles Jimmie Jr. on the telephone? I don't think so. So we've had some struggles with that. I don't know, how do counsel want to proceed with this at this point? Should we maybe set a separate time when we can just have him on the calendar and not have 20 cases all on and trying to get him on the line?
I think that sounds fine, Your Honor. My expectation is that I think we have a resolution in this case. And so if you wanted to set it for a time on Wednesday, maybe, late in the afternoon when you're done with your trial day. If I could just... Today, Wednesday? Tomorrow is
Tuesday.
Wednesday.
Tomorrow's Wednesday.
If I could just ask the court, do we know what phone line is open? I gave him the conference call number that was listed on the Haines calendar.
Yeah, that's
okay. Got it.
So I can do it tomorrow afternoon at 3:30. So we'll just calendar Mr. Jimmie for tomorrow at 3:30, and let's try to get him on the line at that point and figure it out.
Hopefully, maybe we can try to call him.
If you have a number, we can call him.
Great, thank you.
All right. At this point, trials remain on the calendar, but that's probably going to change tomorrow.
Thanks.
Jeremy Settem, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, is on the calendar. It says change of plea this morning. Is that what we're doing, or do we need to set a change of plea with a magistrate?
I did set this for a change of plea in 60 days. I have an agreement with the state that if he gets his driver's license and the state will dismiss, he is still working on that. So if I could ask the court just for another 30 days, just maybe to the next trial date, and come back and try to get this resolved.
It's fine if you set it in front of the magistrate also, Your Honor.
Yes.
All right. Ms. Hedrick, is there a time in about 30 days when you could set Mr. Settem tentatively for a change of plea?
Yes. How about on Tuesday, March 26th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Does that work for the parties?
That'll work.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what time?
3.
Thank you.
March 26th, 3 p.m., change of plea. Thank you. All right, we have Mr. Arendt on the calendar, James Bradley Arendt. Is Mr. Arendt with us today?
Your Honor, he is not. Spoke with him yesterday. He wasn't sure whether he'd be able to
There is a consent to proceed.
Call in this morning. I believe he's dealing with a family emergency, but yes, there's a consent to proceed. This is a case that, admittedly it's fallen a little by the wayside. I'm not certain if I've received an offer from the state, and I would like some time to be able to discuss with the state an offer. I'm not expecting this case to go to trial. If we could have 30 days for time to work out an agreement with the state.
Paige?
That's fine.
Certainly not as old as some of the cases on the calendar, although it's starting to get, if it's in a similar place next month, I might not continue again.
Understood.
All right. Rule 45 is told by virtue of the defense request. We have let's see, Corey Piper.
Your Honor, I thought that I filed a couple weeks ago a consent to proceed for Mr. Piper. He is in treatment. I think the court in Haines received some documents from his family. He's in treatment in a facility in Arizona, which was allowed. I think Judge asked or amended his conditions to allow him to travel for treatment. In any case, it's an inpatient facility. It is a 36-year, 90 days. He, I think, arrived there in mid-January. I wasn't able to get a hold of his counselor yesterday to find out where he is. So I, maybe in abundance of caution, asked for setting this out for 2 months in case he is actually there for the 90-day period.
This page.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's fine. I didn't hear you.
I'll set the matter over until May 6th for trial. Pre-trial April 30th at 8:30. I would note that the log note from January 9th does say you can depart for treatment as long as you notify the court when you're going and where.
Judge, are we on record? Oh, got it. Okay.
All right. Perhaps that happened. I don't have a record of that in my file. That was something he was supposed to do.
And I have a copy of that. I think I received it from Ms. Hendricks, but if they don't have it, I will make sure I send it to them for the file.
All right. We have I think the last pretrial I have is Mr. Grieser. Skagway case, State of Alaska versus Kevin Grieser. Do we think there's a consent to proceed in this file?
There is one, yes, Your Honor.
Obviously, we had an evidentiary hearing. I issued a written order. I assume counsel got that.
I did, yes.
How do you want to proceed with this case? Should it remain on for trial?
This is a tricky case, Your Honor. In the interest of not speaking against my client's interests, I don't have any information for the court.
So, should it remain on for trial? It sounds like it should remain on for trial. Is the state ready for trial?
Subject to the order of trials that Your Honor said? Sure.
No, I don't think it should stay on for trial, Your Honor.
So, if there's some, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. If there's some concern that he may not show up for trial, I would leave it on for court, but not summon jurors. If that's what we're doing, then I would leave it for 8:30 Monday, but it would be telephonic. I wouldn't fly to Skagway. Again, I'm not trying to compel you to say things adverse to your client, but just set it for further proceedings Monday morning at 8:30. If we're in trial on another case, we'll take it up. If he's present, we'll set the date of trial. If he's not present, we'll issue a warrant. Ms. Page?
If that's how Your Honor wants to proceed, that's fine. I will tell you that Officer Bacon, who's the state's witness, has to transport his mother for a surgery on the 6th of
I'm
just letting the court know, I'm gonna inform him that he can do that and that he's
Yes.
off the hook for this trial date as a result. So it's not the situation that we're gonna spring a trial on him.
I think that's fine, but we have to figure out where Mr. Grieser is and whether there's a trial to be held. If we have Mr. Grieser with us on Monday, then we'll figure out the trial date and certainly take your witness's availability into account.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So just so that it's specifically stated, I'm ordering Mr. Grieser to appear for court Monday at 8:30,
Understood, Your Honor.
either in the Skagway court or on the phone. Great. I think that's all for Haines and Skagway, unless I've missed any cases. Ms. Hedrick, do you think I've missed anybody?
No, that matches my list.
Thank you. All right, then we'll sign off, and we'll go on record here in Juneau, and we'll turn to Mr. Gullifson's case. Ms. Dumont has been patiently waiting. We are here in State of Alaska versus Olin Gullifson. Ms. Page is here for the state, Ms. Dumont from probation.
The chairperson has disconnected. The conference will now end.